Good evening. It's Pamela Bailey. I'm the lead practitioner at the Center for Spiritual Living, Pleasant Valley. And tonight I have the pleasure of doing the midweek spiritual uplift. And what I'm wanting to talk about is the power of what's so. And this is an interesting notion because we think, well, of course, what's so is what's so. But when we resist it, it doesn't go well. And so there's a couple of things that I want to do. Initially, I want to start out by distinguishing between the power of now and the power of what's so. Now is powerful because it is the only time that we can take action. And now is the time that we live. Now is the time that we act. And no matter what time it is of your life, it's always now because that's the only time that we can actually live and breathe and experience life. So that's the power of now. It's like now is the moment. Now is the moment to observe. Now is the moment to take action. Now is the moment to reach out. Now is the moment to make a plan. And mostly now is the time to live our lives and to take the actions that have us live the lives we want to live. All that said, I chose this topic because I'm very familiar with the notion of what's so, and I've been coached on it, and I just see how that notion of what's so is a really, really valuable thing. And the first thing that I want to say is what's so is that I wrote this speech back in June and I was really excited about it and I had printed it out, I had marked it up, I was ready to do it all. And then when I was preparing to do this offering of it, and I did have a couple of difficulties getting in, uh, and I just got some message that I don't understand. And goodness gracious, I probably should do something about it. But in any case, I shall continue here. So, what happened is that all of the wonderful work that I had done to do this previously is gone. The hard copy went into the black hole that things go into on occasion, and Word did not have my document. Therefore, I got to redo it. So the power of what's so is in the moment, in this very moment, is when we have the opportunity to create. So again, what's so is not and includes the power of now. So there are a couple of cliches that I would like to bring up because they're kind of fun and they actually are relevant. One is that if you argue with what's so, it won't go well. And then there's, another a wise cliche that says you can only start where you are, where you are. And then there's the ones that are related to resistance. So one of our human tendencies is that we tend to resist what's so. And I'm getting this message. I don't know how to do anything about it. So, sorry. This technology is one that I'm going to master, and I haven't yet. That said, uh, where was I? Oh, so yeah. So we can only do what we can do. We can only do it right now, whatever it is that we're going to do. And even if we plan it in great detail and have the entire plan laid out for the next 10 years, if we don't take action right now or tomorrow or whatever, nothing will happen. And then the other side of it is resistance. So there's this uh, two wise things that are said about that. One is that resistance begets persistence. So that is the more that we resist, the more that we have of it. And of course, in physical training, when we when we do resistance training, it strengthens our muscles. So, in fact, in life, the very same thing. That which we resist gets stronger until we take it on. And as we take it on, we develop the strength to do what needs to be done. And resistance is futile. What is, and that's just the way that it is. If the weather, okay, so I actually want to go to how do we know what's so? Well, there are things that we can measure or that there are facts about, and those are pretty apparent. If a meeting is set for 10 a.m. and you're not there, ready to participate at 10 a.m., you're late. Children must be a certain height to go on rides at Disneyland. The temperature right now, or when I was doing this in Woodland Hills where I live, was 97 degrees. We could say that it's hot. That, of course, is a matter of opinion. In my opinion, that was hot. But in fact, the measurement is that it was 97 degrees. So knowing and accepting what's so guides us to make some easy and good choices. Set an alarm on your phone or have a reminder in your calendar or set up some kind of structure. Have somebody remind you about the meeting so that you are there and ready to work at 10 a.m. If you're taking children to Disneyland, you need to know if they are tall enough to go on the particular rides, or you will have some disappointed and unhappy children, which is not a fun thing at Disneyland. And if I'm here in Woodland Hills and it's 97 degrees, it's not a wise clothing choice to wear a heavy wool sweater. Pretty easy, pretty easy. And in fact, knowing what's so, having knowledge of the facts and the circumstances is something that allows us to make good choices. A lot of life isn't that way. Some things in life are uncertain. But my intention in this talk is to leave you realizing how simple, direct, and life enhancing knowing and embracing what so can be in our lives. Two of my favorite mentors and coaches are all about this, and it actually makes life flow more easily. These days, all meetings I've been involved in have been on Zoom. Sometimes I'm responsible for taking attendance. It has become quite simple. People are requested to communicate if they will be absent or late, otherwise, we expect them to be there on time. When it's time for the meeting to start, we only look, or as attendance person, I only look for the people who are expected. If they're all there, all is well, and we can start the meeting. If someone is missing, that means that, and we're not expecting them to be missing or late, that means we need to track them down. That then causes the meeting not to start on time and not to start harmoniously. And of course, what happens is the one taking attendance, that would be me. I get to reach out, I get to text them or email them or telephone them to find out where they are. There's nothing wrong with not being at the meeting, but in fact, it disturbs the flow of the meeting if you are expected and you're not there. So the best thing that can happen is I reach the person and they say, "Oh, I forgot," or "My alarm didn't go off," or whatever, or simply we don't reach them and we don't know what's happening. And if I'm the person who's late, so like last week, there was this meeting that I really loved to go to, and I was engaged in something else. My alarm didn't did not make enough noise that I stopped doing what I was doing, and I was 20 minutes late. And all there was to do in this particular circumstance was simply to say, I'm late, and you can expect me to manage my time and be on time next time. And I will, because I missed something that I didn't want to miss. So, uh, and now that we're on Zoom, of course, we here in Los Angeles, you folks may or may not be in Los Angeles, we don't have the excuse of LA traffic. There was an accident on the freeway and that's why I'm late, or whatever it is. The bottom line is we gave our word to be on time and we either are or we are not. So the other thing is that when you're late, it's not about I'm sorry, and it most certainly isn't about the excuses. What it is to acknowledge that you were late and then um, to actually state it and then to say whatever needs to be said, and then to make amends if there's something that needs to be done because of your having been late. So there are lots of areas of life where knowing what's so is really powerful. And so one is finances. And in this world, there's an abundance of everything, and sometimes it doesn't seem like we have an abundance of money. But there's many indicators of how much money you have, and they are available. We we all have computers these days, and we all have online access to all of our account balances at any point in time, whether it's our checking account or our credit card or our retirement savings, whatever it is up to us as powerful individuals to know what's so, to know how much money we have in each of the accounts. I have a friend whose account was hacked for a substantial amount of money. And not only had the account been hacked, but the thieves actually tried in his name to open another account, also for a fair amount of money. Had he not been checking on a regular basis to see what was in the accounts to make certain that all was well, more damage could have occurred. So, if we want to improve our finances, the first thing is know how much we have. There's lots of things we can do in that area of improving finances. And I don't want this to be dry or a lot of shoulds, but in fact, with all the information that we have today, there and all there's guides and books and webinars and websites and coaches and financial advisors. There are all sorts of people with expertise that we don't have who can guide us to do whatever it is we need to do. Perhaps we want to improve our credit rating. Well, there's lots of guidance on how to do that, and there's lots of reporting tools. So you can pick your free one or you can pay for a service, and then that allows you to know. And so then you start looking at, well, gosh, if I want to manage my money, what so is the most important thing is to manage what goes out. What comes in may or may not be fixed. And of course, I do have some control over that. But in fact, what so is I really can manage how much I spend. And I know that I will get subscriptions to things, magazines or newsletters or such things, and I don't read them. Now, I have this thought that, oh, I'll read it later. Well, again, in the power of now, it's never later. So if in fact I see that I'm regularly not reading those things, one of the powerful things I could do is to end the subscription. There's if in fact I don't watch TV or rarely watch it, or if I only do subscription services, perhaps I can cut back on my cable bill. There are all sorts of things that can be done as long as I know what's so. And if what's so is that I'm getting a monthly bill for $80 for something that I'm rarely using, well, an opportunity is there to do something new. So again, in this area of subscriptions and things that we are paying for and not using, there's information that we're getting, there's access to services and entertainment, and then there are things like membership at the gym. Now, I've generally belonged to some sort of gym, and of course, during the pandemic, the gyms were closed. So what happened then? Well, they weren't charging and I wasn't going. Kind of a winning combination. That said, there have been times when I've belonged to a gym and rarely gone. Now, I've found that for me, what's so is what will get me to the gym is if I have a buddy, or if there's a particular class that I like, or if I'm working with a trainer and paying for it. So, guess what? Those are the things that I know are structures that have me do the things that I want to do. And what's so is if I have an appointment with a trainer, I will be at the gym on time. And if I don't, I may not. I may decide that it would be more fun to do something else. There's another thing. I have these good intentions about eating healthy food. I'll be at the store and I'll see these wonderful salad ingredients and vegetables and all these things. And I'll think, oh, I'm going to eat all these healthy meals. Well, guess what? Then I find out that, oh, I have a meeting and I'm doing this or I'm doing that. And then there are easy things, easy and fast things that I have in the freezer that I could cook instead. And I end up throwing out that wonderful, fresh, healthy food. Now, that's not my intention. I mean, it's not good for the planet, it's not good for my finances, and it's not good for me. So the trick then would be to know what my schedule is when I'm at the store and don't buy a whole lot of food that requires preparation if I'm not going to be home. Or I could invite someone over and then I would cook it and then I would use it. So it's one of these things where, knowing what so really does give me the power to do something. There's this wise adage of know thyself. And one of the things is that we tend to sometimes look at what our patterns have been. Cynthia Clare, the founding minister of the center, used to say that yesterday ended last night. One of the principles of this teaching is principle is not based on precedent. Well, what that means is that just because it has been that way doesn't mean it has to be that way, doesn't mean it will necessarily be that way. Once again, it's about knowing who you are and what's going to have you take the actions that are needed to create the results you have. Sometimes, in the face of something that there is to do, we need to ask for help. Our cultural training and the upbringing, certainly in my generation, is that we should tough it out and do it ourselves. Be strong and all of that. Well, guess what? Sometimes I'm just not going to do it or I can't do it. So if I recognize the value and get help, whether it's washing my car, cleaning my house, or letting go of my clutter, those are things that I'm not good at doing. Some of us are good at some things. You wouldn't want me fixing your air conditioner, and you couldn't pay me enough to get up on the roof in the hot weather. So even if I could do it, you wouldn't want me to. So that's again what's so. Sometimes it's a lack of skill, sometimes it's a lack of desire, sometimes it's simply that we're, in my case, I'm past the time of being able to do that. So again, accepting my own lacks of skill or training in areas is a good idea. Then I can say, all right, if that's important, how do I accomplish it? I'm going to tell one on myself here because at this time in my life, I am one of those older people. I don't know how that happened. I don't know. All of a sudden, it's like I looked around and I look at these people and I think they're old, and then I realize, oh my God, I'm older than they are. So I am very blessed to be here. I live in Southern California. I have good health and I have wonderful friends and this great community and others. So I'm truly blessed and I am part of that population. When I was working, I actually worked in technology in corporate America. A company that or an organization that I volunteer with has started using Google Workspaces, which spreadsheets and documents. It's a whole new world of technology. And initially, I just did not want to do it. I was acting like a 5-year-old who says, I don't want to, and you can't make me. Well, unfortunately, they had chosen these tools because of privacy and security, and these were the tools we were going to use. So I said, all right, this is one of my opportunities to grow, even if it's uncomfortable. And of course, I was impacting other people because I'm a team leader and I was allowing my team to gripe and grumble about it, which did not improve things. So I decided, all right, I'm going to learn this and do it. And I gave up. And guess what? Life has been easier and I've actually worked with my people to do it because they of course have been resisting it too. And I wanted to bring up one other concept here, and that is about 100%. 100%, 100% of what's so. So what's so is what's so. And I did talk about those things which are factual and measurable. And there are things which have to do with human interactions that aren't as measurable. So what I want to say is that there's this notion of integrity or 100%, 100%. And one of the sayings about integrity is 99% is really hard and 100% is easy peasy. It's also powerful in relationships. If instead of thinking it's 50-50, I acknowledge that, oh, I'm 100% responsible for how I'm feeling and how I'm behaving in a relationship. So, guess what? If I'm not liking it, it's up to me. And so it's looking at uh, what's going on. And so, a roommate of mine leaves dishes on the counter. I'm not very fond of that. What I would like is a clean counter. Now, I know that what's so is if I say something about it to him when he's distracted or doing something else or in a hurry, that it won't go well. He'll be cranky and snitty, and then and won't do it because he doesn't have enough time. So, what I get to do is think about what it is I truly want and ask for it at a time when he will be able to hear it. And then, that's when something good can come out of it. And I need to know that what so is I can choose to do it at an opportune time. And so there's another thing, it's kind of a fun thing. I don't like olives. Everybody who knows me knows I don't like them. I don't like black, I don't like green, I don't like stuffed, I don't like kalamata, I don't like Greek. You would not make me a special dish with olives. And I do love Brussels sprouts, and some people I know don't. So I would not make them my favorite special vegetable, which is roasted Brussels sprouts. And sometimes there are things in our lives that are hard to accept. Loved ones make their transitions, like our beloved Betty Ann, who's now on to her next chapter, probably with her dear friend Dr. Betty Harold. We will grieve and we will be sad, and that's part of being human. And we can choose this moment in what's so that they're no longer with us to remember the good, to remember the love, to remember the joy, and to remember to tell those people in our lives that we love them now. Sometimes we get distressing news, and that's what's so. So, for instance, I was in fear of having to have gum surgery because of um, deep pockets. I didn't like that at all, and their treatments weren't working and they were expensive. And then I realized, oh, I could do something about this. So I took on thoroughly cleaning and flossing every night before I went to bed. Now going to the dentist is a dream because I go, they're happy, it doesn't hurt, I don't bleed, and they just say, oh, you have such wonderful gums. And so now I don't have to worry about infections or systemic infections from them. And I've wanted, okay, so it's about time to wrap up here, even though I started late due to a challenge getting on. I wanted to be inspiring here, and I'm not sure this replacement talk has done that so well. But what I really want to convey is that when there is a situation that we don't like, it is what's so, and we can completely accept exactly how it is. And then from there, we have the option to look at what it is that we want and what the gap is and how to bridge that gap, what actions can be taken. There are always actions that can be taken, and there's always something that you can do. And in this teaching, we know that we are powerful co creators with the divine of our lives. So it is our opportunity to step in, step up, and take action. And the first thing to remember is that what there is to do is to embrace what's so, because resisting and denying what's so is not only futile, but it also could cause something negative, and that go in this teaching it is about knowing that we are every moment, that God is, I am, and that's the way that it is. And thank you very much, and I appreciate your patience if you stayed on, so thank you and good night.